I always have to say my grandmother, and to get the love I got from her after she saw it, and just to hear her words saying how proud she was. Still, I can get emotional just talking about it and hearing about it.
Michael Jackson's legacy inspired millions around the world and forever changed the music industry. But stepping into the shadow of such an icon is no easy task. Now, Jaafar Jackson carries the responsibility of honoring his uncle's extraordinary legacy while striving to build a name and legacy of his own.
Coming from my own memories of him, there were a few cherishable memories that I have that it was more so the emotions that come out of them.
Michael Jackson's legacy inspired millions around the world and forever changed the music industry. But stepping into the shadow of such an icon is no easy task. Now, Jaafar Jackson carries the responsibility of honoring his uncle's extraordinary legacy while striving to build a name and legacy of his own.
And they were out there imitating Michael, and they were good.
2,000 people that tried out.
But Jaafar wasn't imitating Michael, he became.
Stepping into the spotlight, the wait was finally over. As Jaafar Jackson stepped into the spotlight, all eyes were on him. During his first interview on NBC's Today Show, the actor chosen to portray Michael Jackson found himself facing enormous expectations. Fans weren't just listening to his words, they were analyzing every expression, every gesture, and every detail. The pressure was undeniable. But then the conversation shifted. Rather than focusing solely on the highly anticipated biopic, Jaafar began sharing personal memories from his childhood. Instantly, the atmosphere became warmer and more relaxed. To Jaafar, Michael wasn't always the king of pop.
He was simply family.
He recalled joyful days at the Jackson family home in Havenhurst and unforgettable moments at Neverland Ranch. There were games of hide and seek, rides on attractions, movie nights, and endless candy-filled adventures. These stories revealed a side of Jaafar rarely seen by the public, a young man reflecting on cherished family memories rather than an actor preparing for the role of a lifetime. The stories brought smiles to viewers, but they also sparked even greater curiosity. It was clear that this was only the beginning of a journey that would attract worldwide attention. One photograph, in particular, captures that journey perfectly. In the image, a young Jaafar stands beside Michael Jackson, dressed in a sparkling jacket and black fedora while holding a microphone. Michael gently places a hand on his nephew's shoulder, creating a touching moment filled with encouragement and family pride. Looking back today, the image feels almost prophetic. The young boy standing beside the king of pop would one day grow up to portray him on the big screen, carrying one of music's most iconic legacies to an entirely new generation. Billie Jean Pressure.
I think if Michael needs somebody, I could be the next Michael Jackson. Yeah.
Nice backup dancer.
Looking back and laughing. When Jaafar Jackson looks back at his earliest rehearsal videos, he can't help but laugh. Compared to the polished performance audiences would eventually see on screen, those first attempts seemed a world away. The difference was so dramatic that even Jaafar found it hard to believe how much he had improved. That admission gave host Jimmy Fallon the perfect opportunity for a joke. Fallon playfully remarked that he probably wouldn't even qualify as one of Michael Jackson's backup dancers. The audience erupted with laughter, and Jaafar joined in immediately. For a moment, the interview felt less like a television appearance and more like two friends sharing stories. Yet behind the laughter was a deeper truth. The audience was already impressed by Jaafar's dedication, but even more surprising revelations were still ahead. Lost in the mirror. The transformation became so convincing that it startled Jaafar himself. As anticipation for Michael continued to grow, Jaafar revealed one of the most unforgettable moments from the production. Under the guidance of legendary makeup designer Bill Corso and his talented team, hours were spent applying detailed prosthetics, wigs, and makeup to recreate Michael Jackson's appearance. Then something unexpected happened. One day, after another lengthy makeup session, Jaafar glanced into a mirror and suddenly froze. For a brief moment, the reflection staring back at him didn't feel familiar. It wasn't because the makeup looked impressive. It was because the transformation felt complete. The face in the mirror no longer resembled the young actor preparing for a role. Instead, It looked remarkably like Michael Jackson himself. The realization caught him completely off guard. Months of preparation, studying performances, mastering expressions, and perfecting movements had begun to merge naturally into his everyday routine. He was no longer simply playing the role, he was beginning to understand it from the inside. The long hours in the makeup chair were exhausting, but the results were undeniable. With each passing day, the transformation became more convincing, and excitement surrounding the film continued to grow. Premiere night stories. The red carpet was filled with cameras, flashing lights, and excitement, but some of the most memorable moments happened behind the scenes. At the Los Angeles premiere of Michael, cast members, filmmakers, and members of the Jackson family gathered to celebrate one of the most highly anticipated films of the year. As the spotlight shifted toward Jaafar Jackson, many people became curious about the incredible work that had gone into his transformation. But portraying Michael Jackson required much more than learning iconic dance routines. Jaafar explained that his preparation involved countless hours of research and observation. He studied Michael's performances in detail, analyzed his facial expressions, and paid close attention to the subtle habits and mannerisms that most people never noticed. Every smile, glance, gesture, and movement mattered. His goal wasn't just to imitate Michael Jackson, it was to capture the spirit, personality, and humanity behind one of the most famous entertainers the world has ever known.
Studied Michael's videos, his lyrics, everything about him. And
more than dance training. What began as simple dance rehearsals soon evolved into something much deeper. Jaafar's preparation for the role extended far beyond mastering choreography. He immersed himself in the smallest details of Michael Jackson's daily life, studying the subtle habits, expressions, and mannerisms that made him unique. Every movement had meaning, and every gesture told a story. Fans were amazed by the level of dedication he brought to the role. It became clear that this wasn't just a performance. It was a commitment to honoring one of the most influential artists in history. The premiere also delivered several emotional moments. Actress Nia Long spoke about portraying Katherine Jackson and reflected on the strength, faith, and resilience that carried her through some of the family's most difficult chapters. Her words added another layer of emotion to an evening already filled with heartfelt memories. The combination of laughter, personal stories, and emotional tributes gave the event a warm and intimate atmosphere. It felt less like a Hollywood premiere and more like a family celebration. Yet, even amid the excitement, some of the most meaningful chapters of Jaafar's story were still waiting to be told. Carrying the Jackson name. Most families pass down photo albums, traditions, and family stories. The Jackson family passed down something far larger, a legacy that shaped the history of music itself. As the son of Jermaine Jackson, Jaafar grew up surrounded by one of the most recognizable names in entertainment. It was a privilege few could imagine, but it also carried responsibilities that most people would never experience. His father did everything possible to protect him from the intense public attention that followed the Jackson name. Yet some things could never be hidden. Michael Jackson's presence was everywhere. His music echoed through family gatherings. His achievements were discussed in conversations. His influence remained woven into everyday life, impossible to ignore and impossible to escape. For Jaafar, Michael wasn't just a global icon admired by millions. He was family. Growing up in that environment meant constantly being reminded of a legacy unlike any other. But it also gave Jaafar a unique connection to the man whose story he would one day bring to life on the big screen. Then, just when it seemed that Michael's influence would remain only a cherished part of family history, something unexpected happened, something that would change Jaafar's future forever. Growing into his own identity. As Jaafar Jackson grew older, people began noticing something remarkable. There was something familiar about his smile. A certain spark in his eyes reminded many fans of Michael Jackson. Even some of his natural movements seemed to echo the grace and charisma that had made his uncle a global icon. At first, these observations remained quiet conversations among fans. But before long, Comparisons began spreading across social media and entertainment news outlets. Suddenly, Jaafar found himself being measured against one of the most celebrated performers in history. For many people, that kind of pressure would have felt overwhelming. Jaafar chose a different path. Rather than running from the comparisons, he accepted them while remaining determined to create an identity of his own. He understood the legacy attached to his family name, but he wanted his future to be defined by his own achievements. Building his own sound. The easiest path would have been to rely on the Jackson legacy. Instead, Jaafar chose the harder road. Quietly and patiently, he began building a music career that reflected his own personality and artistic vision. In 2019, he released his debut single, Got Me Singing, introducing listeners to a smooth R&B sound filled with soulful vocals and genuine emotion. The song carried traces of the musical tradition that surrounded him throughout his childhood, but it never felt like an imitation. That was exactly the point. Jaafar wasn't trying to become another Michael Jackson. He wanted audiences to discover who he was as an artist and performer. As he continued releasing music, he stayed committed to classic soul and R&B influences rather than chasing whatever trends happened to dominate the charts. His focus remained on authenticity, growth, and artistic development. The songs didn't always generate massive headlines, but that never seemed to bother him. While others pursued viral fame and instant attention, Jaafar concentrated on improving his craft. He continued writing, recording, and learning, slowly building a foundation for the future. It was a quiet journey, one that many people overlooked. Yet history has often shown that the most important opportunities are built long before anyone notices them. Without realizing it, Jaafar was preparing for a moment that would eventually change his life forever. Forging his own path. A famous surname may open doors, but walking through them requires determination. During an exclusive 2019 interview with Germany's RTL, while promoting Got Me Singing, Jaafar gave fans a glimpse of the person behind the public image. Away from the spotlight, he appeared relaxed, approachable, and surprisingly down-to-earth. When asked about his favorite song, he chose Misty by Johnny Mathis. However, when the interviewer invited him to sing a few lines, he laughed and admitted that he couldn't remember all the lyrics. The lighthearted moment revealed a playful side of his personality that fans rarely had the chance to see. As the conversation continued, Jaafar opened up about his personal life. He shared that he was happily involved in a long-term relationship and spoke fondly about his love for animals. Over the years, he had cared for several pets, including 2 dogs and even a snake at one point. The interview offered a refreshing look beyond the headlines and famous family connections. It showed a young artist focused on living a balanced life while steadily pursuing his ambitions. And although he was still forging his own path, events were already unfolding that would soon place him at the center of one of the most anticipated projects in modern entertainment.
Well, what's your favorite song in general?
Favorite song in general, Misty by...
Then came a more revealing insight. Despite growing up in one of the world's most famous families, Jaafar Jackson remained remarkably grounded.
Very ordinary, as you know, a nephew hanging out with their uncle, but for me, it was, I have such a big family, so...
Jaafar said he never felt weighed down by expectations. Before music became his focus, he dreamed of becoming a golfer, but life had other plans. One thing became clear: Jaafar was not chasing Michael Jackson's path, he was building his own. Stepping into destiny. The safe path was waiting, but Jaafar walked straight past it. For years, he focused on music. He released his own songs, developed his sound, and built a career on his own terms. Acting was never part of the plan. Then, everything changed. Jaafar was offered the chance to portray Michael Jackson in the highly anticipated biopic. It was not just another opportunity, it was a challenge unlike anything he had faced before. The decision carried enormous weight. Instead of staying where he felt comfortable, Jaafar chose the harder road. He stepped away from recording sessions and into a world of demanding rehearsals and preparation. Every detail mattered. Every movement had to feel right, and every expression had to be studied. This was not about taking an easy route to fame. It was about accepting a responsibility few would dare to carry. The gamble was enormous. With one bold decision, Jaafar transformed from a rising musician into a performer the entire world wanted to watch, winning the role. The race was brutal, and only one person would make it to the finish line. Nearly 2,000 hopefuls competed for the chance to play Michael Jackson. Actors studied old interviews. Dancers rehearsed every famous move. The competition was relentless. Many people assumed Jaafar Jackson would be handed the They were wrong. Jaafar had to audition just like everyone else. There were no special privileges, no shortcuts, and no guarantees. If he wanted the role, he had to earn it. So, he gave everything he had. Jaafar carefully studied Michael's walk, posture, facial expressions, and even the subtle moments between movements. Nothing was too small to matter. Every detail counted. Millions of fans around the world knew Michael Jackson so well that even the slightest mistake would be noticed immediately. The expectations were immense, and the pressure was unlike anything Jaafar had experienced before. But when he finally stepped in front of the camera, something remarkable happened. The filmmakers no longer saw Michael Jackson's nephew. They saw the person capable of bringing one of the greatest entertainers in history back to life on screen. At that moment, the search was over. Jaafar had earned the role. Yet securing the part was only the beginning of a much bigger challenge: becoming the king. The transformation didn't end when rehearsals were over. For Jaafar Jackson, portraying Michael Jackson required far more than natural talent. It demanded complete dedication, relentless discipline, and a willingness to immerse himself in every aspect of Michael's world. This was no longer just a performance. It was a mission to honor a legacy that had inspired generations and left an unforgettable mark on music history. Interview 1131_1135. Living the role. Learning the dance moves was only part of the challenge. To truly understand his uncle, Jaafar took an extraordinary step. He spent time living and training inside Michael Jackson's former bedroom at the Jackson family estate in Havenhurst, California. This was not a movie set. It was a deeply personal space filled with memories, history, and the presence of a life that had inspired millions. The experience changed everything. Instead of studying Michael from a distance, Jaafar immersed himself in the environment that had once surrounded him every day. Gradually, the line between preparation and daily life began to fade. When rehearsals ended, the work didn't stop. The role followed him everywhere. Most actors can leave their characters behind when filming ends. Jaafar couldn't. By the time he stepped out of that room, the transformation had become far deeper than anyone expected. And soon, audiences would begin to notice the difference. 2 years of transformation. The moment Jaafar accepted the role, everything changed. For the next 2 years, his life revolved around a single mission: becoming worthy of portraying Michael Jackson. There was no easy path.
No shortcuts. No excuses.
He trained relentlessly to master Michael's voice, movements, expressions, mannerisms, and emotions. Many techniques felt awkward at first, and some improvements came frustratingly slowly. But whenever something didn't feel authentic, Jaafar refused to move on. He practiced until it felt natural. Giving up was never an option. His goal wasn't to imitate his uncle. It was to create a performance that felt genuine and believable. Every movement needed purpose. Every expression needed meaning. Nothing could look forced. Day after day, the hard work began reshaping him. The musician who once focused on recording songs was evolving into an actor capable of carrying one of Hollywood's most demanding roles. By the end of those 2 years, the transformation was impossible to ignore. And the greatest test was still ahead. Beyond the imitation. From the very beginning, Jaafar understood an important truth. Simply copying Michael Jackson's movements would never be enough. Like Michael himself, he believed a performance had to be understood before it could truly come alive. So he looked deeper. Rather than memorizing choreography alone, Jaafar studied the meaning behind every movement. He focused on the rhythm, emotion, and intention that shaped Michael's performances. Piece by piece, he built the role from the inside out. Balancing acting and performance became one of his greatest challenges. Focusing too heavily on one risked weakening the other. Everything had to work together. Instead of recreating famous moments, Jaafar wanted to portray the complete person behind the legend. He worked to capture both Michael's extraordinary talent and his humanity. The expectations were enormous. Millions of fans around the world were waiting to judge every detail. Yet Jaafar embraced the challenge, determined to make every scene feel authentic as the biggest test of his performance drew closer. Finding Michael's voice. The hardest challenge wasn't the appearance. It was the voice. Audiences would notice every mistake. So Jaafar immersed himself in recordings, interviews, and performances. He carefully studied Michael's soft speaking tone, distinctive rhythm, and the subtle way he delivered even the simplest words. Every sound mattered. He practiced his breathing, timing, and vocal delivery for countless hours. Whenever a line sounded forced, he worked on it again. Whenever the emotion felt wrong, he started over. Slowly, the results began to show. The voice no longer sounded like an impression. It started carrying the warmth, emotion, and sincerity that made Michael's speaking style so memorable. By then, Jaafar wasn't just learning how Michael sounded. He was learning how Michael connected with people. And that changed everything. Mastering the magic. One move carried the weight of a legend. For Jaafar Jackson, no challenge felt greater than mastering Michael Jackson's iconic moonwalk. It remains one of the most famous dance moves in entertainment history, instantly recognized by millions of people around the world. Nothing could be taken for granted. Jaafar broke the movement down piece by piece. Every shift of weight mattered. Every pause required precision. Every step demanded attention. The pressure was impossible to ignore. People already knew exactly how the original moonwalk looked, and audiences would immediately notice even the smallest differences. Still, Jaafar kept practicing. Again and again. His goal wasn't to perform a perfect copy. It was to create a moment that felt authentic and believable on screen. Gradually, the pieces began to come together. The countless hours of preparation, sacrifice, and determination were finally starting to pay off. For the first time, the legend that once seemed impossible to recreate was beginning to come alive.
To force. It's natural. It's a flow.
Wembley's ultimate test. The moonwalk no longer looked like something Jaafar was trying to perform. It had become a natural part of who he was on screen. One of the biggest challenges of his journey was finally behind him. But an even greater test was waiting. The rehearsals were over, and the spotlight was calling. Jaafar was no longer preparing behind closed doors. He now faced one of the most important moments of the entire film, recreating Michael Jackson's legendary 1988 performance of Human Nature at Wembley Stadium. This was no ordinary scene. Fans had watched that performance for decades. Every step, pause, gesture, and expression had become part of music history. Millions of people knew it by heart. The pressure was enormous. Jaafar couldn't rely on his famous surname. Every movement had to feel authentic. Every moment had to honor a performance that audiences cherished. As filming approached, the challenge became impossible to ignore. Yet Jaafar was never trying to replace the original. His goal was to honor it and introduce its magic to a new generation. The stakes could not have been higher. Then came the moment he had spent years preparing for. His greatest test had finally arrived. From Jaafar to Michael, the mirror no longer reflected only Jaafar Jackson. The transformation had reached a new level. The first full makeup test became a turning point in the production. Hours were spent applying prosthetics, styling wigs, and perfecting the smallest details. Every feature had to look convincing from every angle. Led by Oscar-winning makeup designer Bill Corso, the team carefully crafted each element around Jaafar's natural facial structure. Rather than completely disguising him, they focused on enhancing the similarities he already shared with Michael Jackson. The results were remarkable. When Jaafar appeared in full costume, the familiar face seemed to disappear. Crew members were stunned by how convincing the transformation had become. From that moment forward, the process became part of his daily routine. Every morning began in the makeup chair as he watched himself gradually transform into his uncle. By the time he stepped onto the set, he wasn't simply preparing for a role. He was stepping closer to becoming a legend, the director's faith. Doubt can weaken even the most ambitious film. For director Antoine Fuqua, bringing Michael to life was never going to be easy. The expectations were immense, and every creative decision would be examined by fans around the world. But Fuqua saw something special in Jaafar Jackson. Behind the rehearsals and long hours, he saw dedication that couldn't be faked. He witnessed relentless preparation, discipline, and a commitment to understanding the role on a deeper level. As filming continued, a noticeable shift began to take place. Jaafar no longer looked like someone imitating Michael Jackson. He looked like someone truly inhabiting the character. That transformation changed the atmosphere on set. Fuqua continued challenging him because he believed Jaafar was capable of even more. And each challenge was met with greater determination. The pressure never disappeared. Millions of fans were waiting to analyze every movement, every expression, and every detail. Yet slowly, uncertainty gave way to confidence. Even the director began to realize that this was becoming far more than a simple performance. The hidden key to transformation. The biggest breakthrough didn't come from a rehearsal room or a dance studio. It came from Michael Jackson's own words. While promoting Michael, Jaafar revealed one of the most personal parts of his preparation. Beyond the rehearsals and performance training, he spent time studying Michael's private journals, handwritten notes, poems, and personal affirmations. Those writings offered a rare glimpse into the mind behind the superstar. They revealed discipline, creativity, determination, and an unwavering belief in self-improvement. For Jaafar, this wasn't about copying dance moves or reproducing a famous voice. It was about understanding the human being behind the global icon. With every page he read, the role became more personal. His mission was simple: to honor Michael's legacy in a way that would make both the fans and his uncle proud. When the world watched. Eventually, preparation gave way to judgment. When Lionsgate released the first teaser trailer for Michael, it became much more than a movie preview. Within hours, it sparked a worldwide conversation. Millions watched the footage. Fans replayed scenes repeatedly, slowing down movements, analyzing expressions, and examining every detail. They weren't simply watching a trailer. They were deciding whether Jaafar Jackson could truly carry one of the most important legacies in entertainment history. For Jaafar, the attention meant everything. It proved that the world was watching. Every gesture mattered. Every expression mattered. Every step mattered. And every small mistake had the potential to become a global discussion. The pressure had finally moved beyond rehearsals and preparation. There was nowhere left to hide. The performance now belonged to the audience. And millions were waiting to see whether Jaafar could deliver. A legacy earned. Jaafar Jackson's journey revealed a powerful truth. A legacy is not simply inherited. It is earned. Every rehearsal, every challenge, and every personal sacrifice demonstrated the responsibility that came with bringing Michael Jackson's story back to life. These moments represented far more than a performance. They showcased dedication, family, respect, and the extraordinary bond between a legendary artist and the nephew determined to honor his memory. In the end, Jaafar's story wasn't just about becoming Michael Jackson on screen. It was about finding his own place within one of the most remarkable legacies in music history.